Welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Recruiter. We just had an awesome episode with Michael from Gybe Recruitment. We spoke about how he transitioned from 10 years at Page, being essentially part of the furniture, and then going out on his own and working for himself, how he approaches new business, and a whole lot of other juicy stuff. So make sure you tune in and listen to the whole episode because it gets super, super fun.
Well, Michael, mate, thanks for coming on.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, mate, like 11 years with Michael Page. You started your career originally as a graduate at Michael Page, and now you're the director and part owner of Gybe Consulting, and you guys specialize in mainly digital marketing and sales recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And, mate, just like us, we're sales recruiters too.
Yeah, so we're competitors right now. Yeah, that's typically what we do on the podcast. We try and just get the inside scoop with our competitors and figure out how we can have one up. No, I'm only kidding. So yeah, you've got a really interesting background. You're essentially part of the furniture at Page.
Yep.
Really, really long time. What was the driving factor to have a successful 10 plus year work experience there and then decide, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own? Was there anything in particular that happened?
Not particularly one point in time. I think for me and my background, like I originally started there as a grad. I went to uni, studied, and then saw a graduate opportunity. It was the first proper corporate job I've only ever had. And I think I stayed there for so long because I was given so many different opportunities, so much development, learning, development, training, recruited in a few different teams, had a few different roles. So whilst I was at the one place for 11 years, it almost felt, I sat there and reflected kind of going, well, this would be the same as if I left and started somewhere else, because I recruited finance for a number of years. Then I launched our digital desk, and then I took on marketing. Then I took on technology. So things were always constantly changing. But I think why I made the move is just over time, I probably achieved everything I wanted to achieve there. And I got thinking to myself, I almost felt personally like a goldfish in a fishbowl, and like, hey, maybe I am the alpha goldfish here and doing an amazing job, but I'm still just in the fishbowl and there's a massive ocean out there and I don't actually know what else is out there. And so I wanted to challenge myself just to see, am I probably as good as I think I am, or am I just good in the little fishbowl that I'm in? So that was playing on my mind, and then we had a couple of people at the similar level to me at the time. I was always honest and just chat to them about where I'm at. And Libby and I think it was one time where we were at a lunch, I think it was, and we were just chatting about where we're at in our career. And then she mentioned to me, maybe I think I might do something different at some stage. And I was kind of like, oh, me too. And it's kind of just like opportunistic that we just both kind of started, this just sparked up, and we're like, oh, maybe we should chat about this a bit further because I could work with you and you could work with me. And it was probably about 9 months in the making from that initial conversation to we actually pulled the trigger and made it all happen. But I think we're so similarly aligned in, I guess, the way that we approach recruitment, the way we approach our clients and candidates, our ethos, that we just felt, it was just the right place at the right time, and we were just at the right point of our career.
What did Page think about this? Their two longest standing big hitters all both bailed and started their own recruitment agency. Was there any animosity from Page? How did you handle? Did you tell them when you resigned, or did you go, oh look, we're just taking a bit of time off, or what happened with that resignation period?
Yeah, it went well. They took it really well. I'm a big believer in you always want to leave things in a better place than how you found them, and Brisbane's a small place. Like, you never know who may end up where. At the time when I resigned, I'm trying to remember what my exact words were, but I was very open and honest, and that I achieved everything I wanted to achieve, and was just ready for that change as outside the fishbowl. And it was a great departure. Like, they were so lovely. I think they were probably a bit shocked and a bit sad. There probably was going to be a bit of a hole. But I made sure, I left everything in a great place. So I think while they were probably sad, like, there was no animosity or or anger. They understood my reasoning, which was great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And mate, you've said you've launched multiple desks across different industries. What's the process or checks and balances that you go through when, you know, changing from accounting to digital or then to technology and marketing? How have you done it? Was it just like map the market and hit the phones, or is there any method to the madness on how you've been able to successfully move industries?
Yeah, so when I went from finance to digital, like digital for me, I studied marketing. I studied comms 15 years ago, so it was always like a passion, like a general interest of mine from a personal level. And when I saw an opportunity there, I literally was like, I want to launch digital. I'm personally interested in this. I'm not personally invested in meeting accountants.
Why not, mate? They're so fun.
Yeah, you meet the odd gem there, but I felt like more it was a job, and and that's what you go there to do. Whereas, within digital, it's an emerging space. It's always growing. I personally find it fascinating, and people often say they can see my eyes light up when I'm talking to those people. So when I made the move, I think my kind of checklist was do I believe that I have the right ingredients to be successful there? Is there a market there? And then I remember at the time I sat down and I think Libby at the time was my boss at Michael Page, and I just said, I'm probably going to spend the next 2 months I don't believe I'll make any money, but I'm going to go out and meet 400 people in digital in Brisbane. Because that way, that's the quickest way I can understand who does what, how much they're paid, what the trends are, and quickly become a subject matter expert in that space to then carry that credibility to start pitching for business and filling roles.
Wow.
400 people in 2 months.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty
Wow.
close.
Yeah.
And that's clients, candidates.
Yeah, like predominantly candidates, but the candidates would range anywhere from entry level up to senior candidates who are clients.
Yep.
Who would be on the market themselves.
And most people would cringe or sink back into their seat knowing that someone's thinking about building a desk and they're going out to meet 400 people in 2 months. Like, I think people will be listening to this going, what the hell? But what did you take from that, and what were the results past those 2 months? Because mate, that's like to achieve like what we've learned, immediate success, you've got to do something drastic in a short amount of time, get a result, and then implement and then go again. So was that top down? Is that what you've just always known? Like, where did the 400 thing come from? And what were the results after those 2 months?
Yeah, I think it came back to kind of going, well, if I meet, I think what I've learned in my career of recruitment is, you work backwards from what you want your end result to be. So if I go, great, if I want to build, let's just, whatever figure you choose, like 100K in a quarter, then hypothetically, if your average fee's 10K, that's 10 jobs, but how many jobs do I fill at that point in time? You might go, okay, I fill 1 in 4, so really I need 40 jobs, plus probably a few speculative ones that might drop out, so I probably need 60 jobs. How many people do I need to talk to actually get 60 jobs on? And then quite quickly, when you reverse engineer it, I got up to 400. And so from the 400, I definitely felt it paid dividends, because I think in the second month I already had some work that had come on. Just by out meeting people and being in
sheer numbers, just law of averages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, one phrase that's always stuck with me with one of the directors at Michael Page is, you've got to get out in the traffic. And that's exactly where I saw myself. I get out in the traffic, you're there, you're seen, so therefore then things will just come your way. And if I think back to me in those 400, like, they still pay dividends in my career, 5-6 years later from when I did that, because people remember. If you leave a good impression and you're not asking for anything, they will remember that in time to come and go, well, that was a good conversation. He shared something with me, didn't ask for anything in return. Well, maybe I'll go back to him, see if he can help me out now when I'm in a time of need.
Well, what did you talk about? So I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of building a new desk. Let's call it a sales desk in digital.
Yep.
And I want to go meet 400 digital salespeople myself. Are you approaching them just to say, hey, I just want to build a relationship and get to know you? Do you have 15 minutes to have a coffee? Or what's the reason for reaching out and sitting down with them, even if you don't have a role? Because a lot of recruiters are stuck in this, if I don't have a role for someone, there's no point in me talking to them. So, like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, it comes back to what you can offer them. Like, I always, every time I speak to someone, I always think from their side, what's in it for me? And even now in my career, like, a vast majority of people I meet, I'm probably not meeting about a role that I'm recruiting. but knowing that one day I will have the right role for them. So what I talk to them about is I want to meet you to talk, to understand more about your career, what your next career move looks like, provide you with some insight on the market, what's happening in the different industries, how your salary aligns with what else is out there. So provide you with some CV advice. So straight away they go, wow, I'm getting all of these things. And you're giving up half an hour or an hour of your time and you've got 10 years recruitment experience. Wow, this is great. And they're actually quite excited about that. But at the same time, I'm not saying I'm meeting you about a job. So I'm not actually promising them anything in return. And
I love that.
Yeah. And that way they're quite receptive to it because they kind of go, great, there's something for me. And I'm sitting there going, well, great, they'll become on my database. I get all this more market information. And ultimately, when I do get a job, then I've got so many more candidates that I already know and I'm on the front foot.
That's awesome. So really, the approach is, look, let's catch up, learn more about you. I'm going to give you all this info, help you with your CV, see if your salary's all good. And when I do have something, who knows, I might be able to reach back out and find you something exactly that you're after.
Yeah, absolutely. And a key line that I say to a lot of people at the moment, like if I don't know who you are, I'm not going to consider you for a role. And it's as simple as that. And then most people go, oh, well, I want you to know me then.
Yeah, gotcha. So what about now that you've done those 400 meetings, have you taken some sort of KPIs of meet 2 people a day type of thing from Paige, or what is your now goal just from a daily, weekly routine or workflow to meet people?
Yeah, it's probably not as robust in terms of, okay, these are the set numbers we want to achieve each week, because it does fluctuate based on how many roles. Because I think what comes back to us and a job, our probably point of difference is our tenure in recruitment, in Brisbane, in marketing and digital and sales and what we've been doing, and then therefore how quickly we can turn that around. So if we have enough work, we're not going to spend our time going out and meeting more people or trying to get more jobs on. It's kind of, let's just deliver on these people that we're in partnership with at the moment. And the quicker we do that, the more reputable, we are, and the higher credibility we get, and the more likely we're going to get work in return again.
What was the feedback from clients that you probably had worked with for years at Paige, and then you're out, you've started your own business, you've updated your LinkedIn profile, and you're like, you beauty, all right, this is my next adventure. What was the previous clients you've worked with? What was their receptiveness? Were they like, oh yeah, we've got some roles, or did they stay wanting to work with Paige to fill their roles, or what was that relationship transition like?
Oh, I think, to be honest, I was probably blown away by the overwhelming support. Like, because I think, once again, like, recruitment is human to human contact. Like, people buy into you, and I think, if anything, people are proud. Like, good on you. Like, you've taken a leap of faith really to start your own thing. If anything, they kind of want to support you and see you succeed.
Yep.
It's like when any of my candidates put a new job on LinkedIn, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, great. Like, because you're personally happy. You're happy for them. So I felt, you do get a lot that kind of want to see you succeed and not necessarily follow you across, but I guess when the right time comes, if there is an opportunity, have a conversation. There's other accounts that that you're on big panels and things like that where it is more of a transactional relationship, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I guess it really does, in hindsight, looking back, it really does show you where you have made a difference and really created one of those strong bonds with your clients.
And do you reckon your relationships have gotten stronger and deeper now that you're out on your own?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing with Lippy? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I say to a lot of clients at the moment, like, yes, our relationship we have is professional, at my business and your business, but also for me it's personal, because the money the commitment they're giving me to fill this job, like, at the end of the day, it's what helps provide for my family.
Means so much.
Exactly.
Now.
Like, if I fill it, absolutely. Like, if I say yes, I'm going to fill it, I'm going to fill it. And I can give them that absolute confidence, and I will commit, and however long it takes me, I'll find that person for them, because I don't have a salary to fall back on. So it's kind of like everything is, you have the higher highs, you do have the lower lows, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
It's funny that, sorry mate.
No, that's all right, mate. Barely here.
It's funny that that mindset shift when when you're in the fishbowl and you're just punching out roles because it's what you should be doing as part of your job, and then you are literally doing the exact same thing but for yourself, the meaning that it has on you become more, you become more sensitive to your relationships. You value your relationships more because they impact you and they mean so much when it's your own business that it becomes a little bit more exciting. I feel like the flame almost comes back where you're like, oh, this guy really wants to support me in my business and give me this job. Whereas, when you're in the fishbowl, it's like, oh, yep, here's another one. Yep, beauty, that's going to get on the board. Where's the next one? And then you're just too much in your lane where you're not thinking holistically about these relationships. Have you found that?
Yeah, and I think I can be. I sit there and go, I can be my true, authentic self. Like, not that I ever was scared of consequences working for a big corporate, but you always kind of have that in the back of your mind of, okay, I'm representing this big global brand, so I want to do the right thing by them. Whereas when it's your own business, you're the boss. So it's kind of like, I can be me and I'm comfortable being me, and whether that's good or bad for however people perceive that, I can be my true, authentic self.
I love that.
And I think that therefore then makes those relationships deeper with the people that you do connect with. And, everyone's not friends with everyone. So there's clients that probably may not connect with me, but then you've got other clients that you just connect so well that you're like, this is better than just a job. Like, this is I love it so much.
And you can tell, mate, your face lights up.
Mate, you're making me light up, mate. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. And so what is life now? What is life like outside of the fishbowl? You wanted to get out of the fishbowl. You're out of the fishbowl. You're in this big blue ocean. What's it all about?
Oh, it's great. Like, I'm hopefully I'm a goldfish getting bigger. But I think it's nice because I think I have great balance between work and home life. That flexibility of making the right decisions of when I want to do what. And I think also, like, working with someone else, I never wanted to work by myself. Like, people often like, oh, why didn't you just go do it yourself? My brother used to say to me a number of times, oh, you could just go do this yourself. But I'm a big team player and I always love just that collaboration aspect. So I think, that's probably one thing I look back on and value so much, is being able to work with someone like Libby, where we're both probably quite similar and have the same ethos. So we both sit there and go, there's no regret. People often ask us, oh, have you ever woken up and have that day of gone, oh, what have I done? But we haven't had it. Some people tell me it'll still come one day, but at the moment, like, every day I wake up, I'm like, this is great. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I sometimes maybe struggle with the thought of, hey, if I had to go back and work for someone else, how would that go?
Yeah, it's probably like the impact and fulfillment, I think, is the missing piece.
Yeah.
And then what about with Libby? What's going to be the plans moving forward? Are you guys wanting to scale? Is it traditionally a perm business? Do you have any contractors?
Yeah, at the moment we're predominantly perm. We've got a small contracting business.
Nice.
And it's more as requirements come up with our different clients, it's like, yeah, we can do that. Like, we have the ability to have contractors, but it hasn't been a dedicated focus. We know there's a market there, but it's all about, just make sure we do it right. And temp for us is something we may look at scaling in the future. We've both worked purely in temp desks before, so we have a really good, robust understanding of how to do that and how that works, but it's all about the right timing and if we have the right person. But I think for the time being, we always made a pact, like when we started, first 3 years, just the two of us. The phrase lifestyle business is probably not the right idea, but we just wanted to make sure just the two of us can do what, can get the business established, really humming well. We get good satisfaction, good work-life balance, paid fairly.
Yep.
That was the initial plan, and then probably from 3 years onwards, then we'll start to kind of go, okay, well, what does next look like for us? Do we scale? Do we take the same? Do we just be a small to medium-sized business, but just be great at what we do? Like, that's probably the next, that's for us. That's just under 18 months away.
Nice. And how did you come up with Gybe? Is Libby a huge sailing fan as well?
No, it's
she has to be, mate. She's 50-50 in that name.
It was actually her idea, but like, it's probably one of the hardest things was coming up with a business name.
Oh, man.
We thought it'd be the easiest, and it turned out to probably be the toughest thing that we've done, because every time you think of a name, we like Google it, see if someone else is registered, and you're like, oh, someone's thought of that, someone's thought of that. And you go through all like the ancient Greek mythology names. You go through the Latin names, just to be different.
Latin
Right? And like, nope, taken. And then we kind of got to a point, and then Libby was like, "Oh, you did sailing for about 7 years. Are there any sailing words?" Because I always said you want something that's unique so people remember it. And I kind of said, "Oh, here's a range of different words, maybe."
What was the list, mate?
Oh, like
Spinnaker?
Yeah, probably things like spinnaker or mast, hull,
Bow.
No, nothing too glamorous. And then I was like, oh, there's tack, but tack doesn't really sound good when you're trying to give a good service. So then when I said jibe, she's like, oh, that looks pretty good.
What's a jibe?
That's interesting.
Yeah, what is a jibe?
A jibe. So jibe is where, the easiest way I can explain is where you change the direction of your boat, and the back of your boat goes through the eye of the breeze. So your sail changes sides.
So you're jibing.
You're jibing. Yeah, it's a maneuver.
So that's what Law Connect did at the end to win this year's Sydney to Hobart, or last year's.
Oh, they might. I'd have to.
Is jibe a winning movement? Is it just jibe through the finish line?
Well, you're tacking because you cross the.
So there's a tack, and there's a jibe. So if you think, so tack is where the front of your boat goes through the breeze, because you can't sail directly into the wind. So you have to go from the left to the right, or right to left. The front of your boat goes through, that's called a tack. And if your back of your boat goes through, it's called a jibe. And so we came up with 4 letters. It's good. It's short.
Short is the best, mate.
And then we kind of had a big debate. Oh, how do we spell it? Do we spell it like it's spelled in sailing, or do we spell it Jibe? But because for people look at phonetically and go, I can pronounce it, but then people go, oh, I could be having a jibe at someone, which can be a negative connotation. So then we're like, no, keep it to the sailing.
Mate, the amount of things that go through your head when you try to pick a name, hey.
Yeah, and then, but and we love it now. But I think it's kind of unique because some people go, oh, is it Gybe? Is it Gybe? Is it Gybe, like jibe, like there's so many different ways to pronounce. But then I sit there and go, well, that's good because it's memorable. It's a conversation.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
for sure. And so we did have a quick conversation before the podcast around what went through your mind when working out a 50-50 partnership. Because we've spoken to recruiters who have gone into business with each other as 50-50. One's a biller, one's a manager. There's a bit of a disconnect on who values what. We speak to recruiters all the time that reach out and go, hey, look, I don't know if I should be going into business with myself or with a colleague similar to what you've done. What kind of conversations did you have around protecting yourselves if, there is future disconnect, or you drift, you jibe apart?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as I said, for us, it was 9 months in the making from initial, I guess, spark. And then we had a number of meetings and planning sessions about what we're wanting to do, who's going to do what, how we're going to do it. And I think that was really important to clearly map that out. And then when we got to the point before we were about to launch, then we put in place a shareholders agreement. So it's legally binding. You work out how many percentage shares each person has if anything does happen. Whether someone wants to leave the business one day or there is a disagreement, you've actually got a legal document to fall back on. Because I think it's always rosy in the beginning, but people say there's always times where it gets tough, and someone will maybe be billing more than another person, and the person who's billing more gets a bit upset, or someone's doing more in one area than the other. And I think for us, it gives us that confidence we've got something to fall back on. But I think also for us, it's keeping each other accountable. So every quarter we have a strategic meeting where both of us, we go get a WeWork share space. We sit down and go, what are our strategic goals? Who's going to do what? What do we want to achieve in the next 3 months? So we know, and we document that. We save it on our shared drive, so we both got it as a reference point. So it's probably taking all of those really strong, I guess, management traits from Paige and implementing in our own business, even though there's 2 of us and there's no one else we have to manage, but it holds ourselves accountable.
Mate, that's really good, because a lot of first-time business owners, and I did the exact same thing. I did none of that. I'd never had any management experience, but a lot of people just pass that off. Oh, it's just us 2. Let's just crack on.
Yeah.
So you're laying proper foundations from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as it grows, it's going to be good.
And I think that was it, because we sat there and going, well, if we're going to hire more people one day, we want to have all of this set set out. So then when we hire someone, we go, well, great, these are the foundations, these are the processes, and we are an attractive agency for someone to want to join. And I think it just holds ourselves accountable. Every Monday we jump on a meeting, go, great, this is what we both want to do for the week. This is what we want to achieve. On Friday we catch up, great, how have we gone with what we wanted to achieve? We both probably have different agendas, but at least the other person holds them accountable, and that probably comes back to why we both wanted to go into business with someone else rather than having to self-manage. It's just easier, for us and in our DNA, it's just easier to help breed that success.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I started Vendito, it was just me, and I always had almost probably a scarcity mindset of like, if you have another business owner, you only own 50% of it, you get 50% less money, like all these kind of things go through your head. But now Declan and I are 50-50 in ex-recruiter. The sheer volume of things that you can get done more than worth that 50%. It's almost like a factor of 3 or 4 when you have someone else that works with you that you can soundboard ideas off, that can give you the energy if you're feeling low. They can get you back on track if you're feeling a little lost. So I think going in partnership with someone for that reason is super powerful, to be able to work together and achieve far more than you could have done on your own. You mentioned before around you liked being around people, and one of your considerations were if you were to go out on your own, like you're not going to really have anyone around. How did you find that going out on your own? Do you have like a little office that you both work out of, or do you work from home, or what's the kind of, where are you working?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started off working from home.
Yep.
We're looking at office space at the moment around Newstead.
Oh,
just to kind of, I think we wanted, it gave us flexibility to start with. Just working from home, we spend most of our time out meeting people anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, we kind of got to a point now where we go.
Did you both work from the same home? Like, just once someone came over?
No, we live apart. We don't live together.
Oh, so you're still... I mean, like, did Libby maybe come to your house and you both work from your house, for example? Or?
Yeah. So we did catch, so every week we catch up.
Okay,
in
cool.
person. Yeah. We sit next to each other.
Yeah, nice.
So it's almost like having an office, but it's a dining table at Libby's house.
Yes.
But there's no interruptions there. My house is a 2-year-old and a Jack Russell dog running around, so it's a bit harder.
Yeah.
So we did that because of the collaboration aspect. But now we've kind of got to a point 18 months in, going, it's good, it's humming. We want to, we're ready to take that next step, office space, somewhere where we can go, and also I think with clients it builds that credibility. Great. A question they always ask us: where are you located? Where are you?
Out in Stafford, mate.
Yeah. And sometimes it is. I'm like, I'm just on the inner south side. It's a great place, great cafes.
Yeah.
And some are super receptive, and some are kind of like, oh, okay. Like, so if it's for us, we go, if we have an office, then they just. I think the expectation is an office builds credibility, rightfully or wrongfully. But for us, we're going to go, okay, well, great. That's the next step in our journey to kind of then just build that next layer.
What are your considerations with an office? So if there's anyone out there that there's a ton of recruiters right now that are probably thinking about getting their first office. Like we've got some Harwell got their first office in January. H People got their first office this week. And there's a lot of considerations depending on, obviously what's important. But for you guys, what are your considerations? Newstead, lots of good coffee shops around. Size is certain size of office?
Yeah, it's not size.
Does it need a meeting room or?
Yeah, because I think for us, we sit there and go, well, what do we need the office for?
Yeah.
We visit lots of big, beautiful offices with our clients, and then they tell you about the rent, and you kind of like, that just blows your mind.
Oh, man, it's crazy. I can't believe how expensive some offices are in Brisbane.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for us, it's more, I think like accessibility. Like Newstead, great, you can drive, you can park. I parked out in the front today. Yeah. Whereas like in the city, people are paying an arm and a leg to get in there. So I think that's a consideration for us. What are people coming to the office for? So, if you have enough room for us to sit at the desks, but then just like whether it's a meeting room or a breakout area, if the client does want to come into your office, you've got somewhere comfortable to sit, and it is, it represents your business and it's got a bit of a vibe to it.
Yeah.
They're probably the most important things to us, like the extra end of trip facilities and things like that. For us, and I guess where we are in our business journey, not really as important. It's more just about that collaborative space that we can be in. If a client wants to come visit us, there is a bricks and mortar location.
Sounds like a co-working space would be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's along the tangent that we're looking at the moment.
Okay, so if there are any recruiters out there that are interested to find out what it's like to have a VA support them in their role, whether that be to bill more, reduce tasks that they don't enjoy doing, or be a more effective recruiter in their niche, then we definitely recommend reaching out to the Outsource People or TOP. Reach out to them, inquire on how they can implement a VA in your agency and to support you. And if you mention ex-recruiter or Confessions of a Recruiter, they will give you a 13% discount off your bill per month on this VA that will allow you to scale your business, scale your desk, and to bill more and make more money. So go reach out to the Outsource People, say Confession sent you, get your discount, and see what is possible.
We traditionally, how did you work? Were you mainly contingent at Michael Page, and now you do focus on like more retained exclusive assignments, or is there any big takeaways that you changed when you worked for yourself? You're like, oh shit, I have to work like this to make it, less stressful or better, or what were the things that you improved or changed from how you worked at Page previously that had the biggest impact?
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. I think the thing that we've changed the most, and because it is your own business, you kind of go, it comes back to the question, is it worth my time?
Opportunity cost.
Absolutely. And that's why, I'd say it's very rare that we do a competitive job, because we're kind of, and I quite honestly say to my clients now, it's not worth my time. It's a CV race. If you want me to kind of see how quickly I can send you a couple of CVs and maybe not have done the proper due diligence just to get them in front of you to beat the competitors, I can do that, but there's no real value. And for me, it always comes back to, I want to offer my clients value, and I want to feel like I'm delivering that value too. And it's the same as when a client says, oh, just flick me some CVs. I'm like, no, I want to meet you. I want to talk about this job. I want to understand your culture, because otherwise I'm going to charge you a lot. I feel we charge a lot. But I want to make sure I give you that value as well. So now with clients, I'd say, vast majority, it's either retained or exclusive. With the sole people working on it, we can dedicate all of our time. We don't have to worry. And as I said before, we don't have to worry about getting more and more and more work on. We go, great. Well, if you've given us that commitment, we can absolutely now commit all of our time to that and find you the person as quick as possible.
So let's talk about that conversation when someone says, just flick me some CVs, because that's probably the number one response to like a speculative, lukewarm potential lead. Is it a job on? It's not really. And I feel like a lot of recruiters waste their time with these types of responses, like, oh yeah, flick me some CVs. It's like, ooh, got a job on, beauty. I'm going to start working the role. And really, it's not. It's nothing.
Yep.
So how do you handle that conversation? Do you quite literally go, oh, sorry, mate, I don't do that?
Yeah, I asked, the best question I always go is, okay, well, let's unpack this a bit. What have you done in your recruitment process so far? Just to kind of understand where you're coming in. Because they might be like, oh, great, we've got an ad up at the moment. I've got 3 other recruiters looking at it. If you want to have a crack, great. And then that gives me all the, it's about uncovering the information first before then agreeing to something. Because if I'm agreeing to something, that's me and my personal brand. And if I'm like, great, I'll flick, they're like, send me some CVs. I'm like, cool. And I can't find anyone, don't send anyone. They're like, well, why'd that guy call me saying he wanted to send some CVs? Your credibility's then shot. And I've heard that over my career so many times. They're like, oh yeah, recruiters call, say they've got someone. I say, send it through. They never send a CV. Because they need to do that call. They want to get the job on. Then they've probably gone, hey, I've got someone. And then they don't actually have someone, just wanting to kind of get the fish on the hook. And then once they got the fish on the hook, they don't know how to reel it in.
Yeah.
So I think for me, once I get that information, it'd just be going, okay, great. Well, maybe work through that process first. I'll send you my details. And if that process doesn't work out, or you're struggling to find what you're looking for, let me know. Because for me and my clients, I'm here ready to dedicate 100% of my time. So I want 100% of your commitment. Because at the moment, you're saying if you've got 3 other agencies and ad on Seek, the most you can give me is 20% commitment. So I don't want to give you 20% of my commitment. I want to give you 100% of my commitment.
Nice.
Yep.
And what you've just said sounds perfectly dialed in now. What was it like 18 months ago could you have that conversation straight away when you first started, or what were the domino effects that happened for you to build the confidence to then have that?
Surely you were just taking anything when you first
Yeah,
started.
It is the mindset. Like when you first start, you kind of like,
10K flat, absolutely, mate. Where can I sign up?
You're working with 3 recruiters? I usually used to compete against 5.
And I think when you first start off, it is backing yourself. So there was a few competitive jobs, but you just, I sit there and go, well, I back myself to out recruit these people because I know I've got deeper networks. I know what I'm looking for a lot quicker. I have a better level of influence. And so you'd kind of, I guess to a degree, take what you can get and work pretty hard. And then after you get 1 or 2 runs on the board, and with each client, like you kind of go, you deliver a great process, you fill the candidate, then you can ask them for feedback. We're always very big on getting feedback after our recruitment processes and going, well, great, next time a role comes up, this is my recommended approach. Don't worry about those other people. Just give me a call. I sorted you out this time. So next time another role comes up, let me be the first call, and we'll talk about how you find another great person.
Yeah.
And for them, they kind of that's what they remember. They don't think about everything else. They go, well, great, Michael got me that person. Let's give Michael a call again.
It's interesting that you have that conversation because I don't think many recruiters have that frank, direct conversation after placing someone. Sometimes it's just, oh yeah, sweet as, glad we can find them. Okay, see ya. And then it's kind of lost and forgotten about. Whereas if you're having that frank conversation of, hey, look, yeah, we're able to get you someone. Maybe we were contingent this time, but hey, next time there's a better way of doing things, and just call me first, and we'll deliver on that. That kind of stuff I think is a really good ending kind of note when you're talking to your clients. What about like a 3-month follow up? Do you follow them up in 3 months to try and get the feedback on the candidate or any kind of like post placement love?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's essential.
Yeah.
And even just thinking about feedback, and I'll come back to your question, but even for roles that we don't fill, like I always like to go, great, can I have some feedback? How was that process? Okay, we may not have found the right candidate this time. Would you consider giving me another opportunity next time? Because if you don't ask, you don't receive. And once again, you're planting the seed. So then that way they go, okay, well, maybe another agency found the right candidate, but actually you gave me a really good process. You gave me a good selection of candidates. So yeah, I'm happy to keep you in mind next time. So at least then if you hear about a job through that company with another agency, it gives you the opportunity to give them a call and say, hey, last time you said you give me another shot. Can I have another shot? Or why didn't you give me a call? Did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And quite often when you ask, did I do something wrong? They're always like, oh, no. You didn't do anything wrong.
Here's 2 jobs.
Yeah. But, it's almost like they kind of feel like they owe you something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your question? I was going to go
Post placement.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Post placement. Yeah, absolutely. So, candid client, like it's essential, and it's probably ingrained from Michael Page. It's making sure people stick, catching up with them. Hey, how's it going? What have you learned? What are the good things? What are the bad things? Are there because if someone is thinking about leaving, and it's funny because I think candidates, if they're not enjoying where they've been placed, I always feel like the last person they call is the recruiter that placed them because they feel like they're letting them down. But you actually want to be the first person they call if things are not working out, because it puts you in the position to place that candidate again, because they're probably a good candidate because you placed them in the first place. But also you can then manage that process as well with your current client, because it could be something could easily be fixed.
All right. What about the moral dilemma of trying to place candidates you placed in the role?
Yep.
How do you, let's say, we placed Joe Bloggs.
Yep.
He's 60 days in. He's still within his guarantee period. He gives you a buzz and he's like, mate, this place is not what I expected. I thought I was going into a role with XYZ. It's actually ABC.
Yep.
Mate, can you help me find something? What do you do?
I'd work with the client first. I wouldn't pull the candidate out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first, and then I'd chat to the candidate first question. Have you had a chat to your manager?
Yeah.
What have you done so far? And I think once again, it's all about fact finding. What have you done so far? Have you had a conversation with your manager? How did that go? No, I haven't. Oh, great. Here's some tips of how to approach that conversation. Offer something, so then that way they can, because they might go have that conversation with that manager and then be like, oh, it's all sorted now. I just wanted a little bit more flexibility. I didn't know how to approach that conversation. You gave me some great tips. It's all sorted. I love it here now. I actually want $5,000 more. Cool. Let's have this conversation about how to talk about reviewing your salary. And more often than not, you'll save those conversations.
Oh, mate, usually it's the most basic stuff that people just bail.
And I think it's it. That people go, it's easier just to bail than to have a conversation. I think I guess as the digital era gets more and more, like, people are more afraid to pick up the phone. People are more afraid to have a face-to-face conversation. Whereas I love it. Like, I love going out and meeting people face-to-face. And the amount of like senior clients and candidates that I meet, and they're like, oh, it's just nice to meet in person. And I'm there vibing it. I'm like, this is great. But I think a lot of people go, oh, let's just jump on Teams, or let's just have a quick phone call and move on. And I think, the more you can get face-to-face to have those conversations, like if something's not going well, great, let's catch up for a coffee and let's talk about it. And you can save it, because the amount of knowledge and experience we have from how many people we've met, how many people we've spoken to, and how many situations we've been exposed to, there's some gold nuggets in there.
I think experienced recruiters are sitting on an actual gold mine of IP that they don't even realize. Like, not many managers get taught how to interview. Not many of them know how to, pitch a role, secure talent, onboard people. Like, it's super rare. And we're in there every single day learning about it year after year, placement after placement. So, like, you obviously take a trusted advisor approach, consultative approach. How do you go from being that low-level recruiter that's talking about what's your favorite personality you want in your team, to then having like a higher level language of leaders conversation where you're talking about risk mitigation, ROI on the person, and those types of conversation that's actually going to drive an organization forward? Because that's why they're getting hired. They're not getting hired to, make sure they fit in with obviously there's elements of the culture, but how do you transition from, being that low level recruiter saying, I've got candidates, to then actually having a transformative, equal relationship with your clients, like where you're at in your career?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to meeting enough people and spending enough time with them. In particular, meeting more senior people as candidates. Because a lot of the time, you meet a senior person, you ask, okay, well, what value do you deliver to a business? How is your performance measured? And you start to understand what the key metrics are in those more senior roles. And therefore then that knowledge is power. Like, I think the biggest part of our job comes back to storytelling. And the amount of people I meet, and I'm just telling a story that someone else told me.
Yeah.
And people kind of think, oh, this guy's got so many stories. I'm like, well, not really. I'm kind of like the library, and all the books are from all the candidates and all the clients that I've met. And I'm just borrowing each one out as I meet different people. And I think the more people you meet, the more it builds your confidence, because then you start to go, okay, great. Well, I understand how all of these different roles are measured in these organizations and what delivers value back, whether it's revenue, whether it's influence, whether it's projects. It could be a whole range of different things. And then that way, when you're meeting hiring managers, you can then start to ask those same questions, because then you've got the knowledge of what candidates have spoken about. Go, oh, okay, well, because I've met this candidate who's delivered, 10% ROI on your bottom line, and therefore they can deliver X amount of value to you if you need someone in that particular vertical. And then it takes you away from, oh yeah, I just met this guy and he's a great bloke, to, oh,
exactly.
Okay, there's some more there's more commercial benefit to each person, because that's what they're looking for at the end of the day. So
if you want to be able to, obviously as a recruiter, your opportunity cost is you're recruiting junior level 60K SDR roles. You want to be recruiting, GMs, executives, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100K fees. What's your path to be able to get there? Because I know, like, maybe business ownership is exemplified, or recruiting those C-suite roles, people go, oh shit, that's unachievable for me because I only play in this space. So would you still take the candidate track and just try and get as many meetings as you can with, say, CFOs, chief revenue officers, all those types of people as candidates? Or like, how do you make that jump to increase?
Yeah, I kind of work my way up the tree.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, if you're recruiting the 60K people, I go, great, who's their boss? Meet that person. And then I go, great, who's their boss? Meet that person. Who's their boss? Meet that person. And you can slowly work your way up in each organisation that you're dealing with.
Mate, that's awesome.
Because that way you've already got a form of credibility. Oh, I've placed these people in this team. You meet the boss. Then you're like, oh, I currently deal with the person that reports directly into you. We place a great number of people, and therefore I want to meet you to understand more about the broader strategic picture. And they go, okay, well, great. You want to understand more about our business. That's important. And also, I think the most common thing that I see happen is, if you're recruiting those 60K jobs and you recruit lots for a client, and then that client leaves, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know that person's boss. So you don't actually get to recruit that new client into that business, and then you almost lose that business overall.
Yeah.
Because it's human to human. It's not business to business.
Yeah.
So was this an approach from Paige, or did you become more mature and refined in that approach when you started your own business, and it probably clicked a little bit more from a business owner mindset, okay, I really understand the impact of X, Y, Z now, so you can have those deeper conversations? Or was it always like that at Page?
Yeah, the fun, like the training was there from Page.
Yeah.
Of kind of going, great, this is how you want to work your way up. And it's probably lessons learned over my time there of when I've had clients and they've left and I didn't know their boss, should have known their boss. But then it's probably solidified more now where we kind of go, great, we have our nice bunch of clients. We really want to look after them. We want to get repeat business. How do we make sure, how do we protect that? And so it's, conversation between living, what if that person leaves? Will we still get work or will we not get work? Okay, do we need to meet someone else in that organisation? And how do we be the name on everyone's lips, I guess, in that business if an opportunity comes up, rather than just putting all of our eggs in the one hiring manager and going, they're our advocate, they're a great person, they'll tell everyone about us.
And what's your time to work? I would consider that working on your clients or on your business as opposed to with or in. How much time do you dedicate to sitting back and actually looking at, say, a client's org chart and going, hey, there's opportunity here, we've missed here, we don't know this person, don't know that. Like, how much would you suggest allocating time to doing that?
Yeah, that probably comes part to our once a quarter. It's a kind of going, great, where's our revenue coming from? And even just where's our job flow coming from? Because there's missed opportunities there as well. And then kind of going, okay, well, where do we see that coming from next quarter? Because, you might get a client and go, okay, this quarter we've placed 10 jobs with this one client. So what's the likelihood of actually having another 10 jobs with that same client? Probably not high unless they're a global business, right? But if they're just a good mid-sized business, I'm not going to get that many jobs again from them. So where else are we getting the work from? And that's where we start to map out who are our top 10 clients. Have we, do we know the org chart? Do we know who's who and have we met them? I sit there and I'm a big believer in, you kind of need 6 points of contact till you're more likely to make a sale, 6 or 7, I think it is.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, have we called them? Have we met them? Have we sent them a salary guide? Have we invited them to an event? Have we maybe taken them to lunch? Have we sent a great candidate to them? And if we haven't done those 6 or 7 things, then it's kind of like, well, should we really be getting a job from them? Are we delivering the best possible service?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of value add through those dot points that you've just mentioned that I don't see a lot of recruiters doing. Like maybe 10%, 20% might be taking that approach of add value, finally get a job.
Yep.
I was interested to know a little bit more about your geography of where you're recruiting. So obviously at Page, you're Brisbane.
Yep.
You're just recruiting in Brisbane. You've got a big client. You're doing an awesome job, and then they got a role in Sydney that they want you to recruit, and you'd have to, I'm assuming, just hand it over to the Sydney boys.
Yep.
And so you don't have to do that anymore.
No, yeah.
How good's that?
Absolutely. I've been chatting to a client in Thailand at the moment. I was like, maybe I can get a job in Thailand. I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah. How have you found being able to have like no geography boundaries on recruiting? Are you kind of trying to pick up jobs a little bit of everywhere, or are you still just hyper focused on getting roles in Brisbane, or what's that like?
Yeah, but I'd say our core focus is Brisbane because we're here. But we've recruited jobs in Melbourne, we've recruited jobs in Sydney, Newcastle, had a job, regional Victoria, like all different locations. So if we got a client in Brisbane, they're like, we need someone in Sydney. Yeah, absolutely, we can do it. And it's still me, same process, same result. Nothing really changes. Or if there is that odd client who is based somewhere else and either gets referred to us or just happens to come across us, then same thing. Yeah, absolutely, we can recruit it. And if they commit to us, then it's very easy for great. We'll jump on a plane. We'll come meet you. Like if you're gonna go retain with us, if you're gonna give us a commitment up front, we're gonna give you 100% our commitment. A couple $100 on a flight there is nothing, and it just shows that we're committed to finding the best possible person for them and we're taking it seriously.
Yeah. See, I used to win a lot of business from big agencies when I was recruiting on the tools at Vendito, and a lot of the business that I would be winning is a GM would say, "Hey, look, yeah, all right, we'll give you a crack at this role." I'd fill it, and then they'd say, "Oh, look, we've got another role. Can you do that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I can do that. No worries." And half the time it was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I can just deal with one person with all this shit," because you deal with one person, it's a great experience. You go back to them and then they give you another recruiter, and then you got to brief another recruiter on this new, like what your expectations are or what you're looking for. And then there's another role in a different state and they're doing it again with a third recruiter. And it just gets so messy and not very smooth or streamlined for that actual client.
Yeah.
So I think one of the huge value adds for being an independent small business is you can just be the one person that they deal with, and then they can feel comfortable to go, oh, I'll just give all my work to Gybe because I know they can recruit any role and I'm just speaking to the one person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, and there was like a moment like that in Page where, and that probably had that light bulb moment where there was a client on the Gold Coast and they're like, oh, we need these different jobs. Like we need a HR job, we need a receptionist, we need a couple of people in marketing, we need a digital person. And I was like, awesome. And I sent a proposal. I'm like, great, I got this lady who specializes in HR and she's got this much experience. I got this person who specializes in office support, this much experience. I do digital marketing, this much experience. And then we didn't win the work. And I followed up. Oh, great. Sorry I didn't hear win the work. Can I have some feedback on my proposal? And he goes, oh, we just went with someone who had the one point of contact who could do everything. And then I was kind of like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like, Libby, we're doing our own thing.
because of that point, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of like, oh, I'll have to, if that one person understands us, our business, our people, our culture, our processes, we only have to kind of do that education piece once, as opposed to multiple times.
Yeah, you're making your client do like 4 times the work.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit crazy. I don't know what kind of internal logistical nightmare it would be for just like one recruiter to still deal with the one client nationally at big agency, on how that would like change things from a revenue standpoint and who gets the money or whatever it is. But I think if big agencies changed their approach with that, I think they'd win so much more work, because that's where I got a lot of work from, is just big agencies that had so many recruiters that they would deal with, and they just got the shits every time they had to teach a recruiter the process or what they're looking for or how they like to recruit and all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting that now you're out on your own, you can just be that one point of contact, and it's fun recruiting in random locations. It's like, oh, yeah. Orange.
Yeah.
Geez, never filled a job in Orange before. And then you can just start to speak to people with different, lifestyles in different areas, and you're like, oh wow, okay, this is what it's all about in Orange, hey? And it becomes a little bit more, entertaining, I feel, when you're recruiting in different locations all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we still try to stay pretty true to like our areas of specialization, but there has been those one-off jobs where you kind of I think Libby recruited a financial controller in regional New South Wales, because I think what comes with tenure in recruitment is you start to go, I don't need to be an expert in the exact, I don't need to be able to do the job that I'm recruiting. I just need to understand the right questions to ask to be able to highlight that to the client. And that probably rang true to me when I recruited like a food and safety manager. And kind of like, I know nothing about food and safety, but knew the right questions to ask, and then how to qualify candidates to then place the right person. I was like, well, if I can do that, I could probably do anything.
Totally.
And what stops you from doing that? Like, is there a reason why you enjoy your niche and not wanting to just do every single role?
Yeah, I think because it probably comes back to a lot of time, particularly people in Brisbane, is going, why do people come to us and what's our value? Our value is our network and our database, and people that we know. And if it's a role that we haven't, we don't deeply specialize in, we're kind of going, well, great, we can recruit, but we're starting from scratch. I don't instantly know 50 or 100 people that I could just pop a message or a call to and get straight on the front foot. We'd kind of have to run a full search campaign for you.
That slows your cash flow. Now you're self-employed as well.
It's just a different proposition. So it's kind of going, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. We've done it before. Here's a range of people that we've done before. But it's different to then someone calling us and go, great, we need a head of marketing. I go, cool, I can think of 5 people off the top of my head, and I can probably get your CVs in 24 hours.
Yep. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So then what's next? So 18 months, you're going to still be knuckling down, bringing in the money, just getting some good foundations, and then you're planning to add staff?
Yeah, I think next 18 months is just really just refine what we're doing. Like, I think it takes a while to get things humming. And so for us, it's just kind of going, great, have we really solidified who we are? Do people know who we are? Are we a leader in that space? And then do we have all of our back of office sorted? All of those aspects. So we feel really comfortable with that. And then, 3-year mark, go, well, maybe, the next person, is it someone to purely do contracting for us, to build that ongoing revenue stream for us? We know there's a market there. We know how to do it. Then I guess it'll just be then taking the time to find that right person.
I've got a question, actually. You're pretty high up in Page. What was your role split between managing or billing? You were a billing manager, I'm assuming?
No, I was doing both.
Oh, you were billing and managing people.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so I've spoken to a few kind of high up people in Randstad, Hayes, Page, and a lot of them are pretty. There's a lot of resistance to just going pure billing. Thinking about going out on their own and going, holy shit, everything, all the onus is on me now to make sure that I'm bringing in money.
Yep.
Was there much of a a conflict internally of going, oh, okay, if I go out on my own and I've just got to focus on billing and I don't have any more responsibility? Was that something you leaned into, or you were kind of like afraid of like, oh shit, I'm purely back on the tools?
It probably. I actually look forward to it. Like that was probably one of the things, one of the drivers for me to leave. And it probably came from, Libby said to me one day when we were at Page, she was like, your eyes light up more when you come back and go, oh, I just met this amazing client and this is what they do and we might get some work from them, versus like maybe when someone gets promoted in your team. Like, I love developing people. I'm a big team player, but she's kind of like, you can just tell from afar watching that's really gets you excited. And it was that internal conflict of kind of going, okay, well, part of my salary or part of my bonus is personal revenue, part is team revenue. How do you balance that to get your people to perform? And I think at the time, I had like eight people across digital marketing and technology. So you kind of go, how do I invest my time there, and management, and then meeting clients and doing great processes there? And it's just an internal conflict.
Mate, it's the hardest job in recruitment.
Yeah,
trying to manage people, getting a small cut of what they're doing, but the more you manage them, the less you bill and the less you make. And then you got to try and find this balance of how do I maintain my revenue whilst getting the most out of my team. I think Greg Savage says it's the worst job in recruitment is being a billing manager. It's like really, really bad because, you've got your own personal pressures, but then you got the pressures of the team and you get lumped with everything all at once.
Yeah. And it's never an excuse for a client. Oh, so I was looking after my team. Like, so what? I don't care. Like,
I spent all day managing people today.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely. So I think that was. It's almost like that. I guess then what we found is then when we've gone to do it ourselves, we're kind of like, oh wow, we've got so much more time now. We're not having to do the one-on-ones. We're not having to do the management meetings. We're not having to run initiatives. So now you can just now we're just spending purely that time recruiting. And I think the difference is what we've probably found as well is, we're probably not working as longer hours as we were, but we're working more intensely because there is none of those distractions. It's kind of your diary's empty, or you've planned it how you want to plan it. There's no one else popping things in there, so you can kind of condense your day a little bit more. But what you get through is like that's probably blown me away the most.
What about your billings? Did your billings drop in your first year of going out on your own? Were you able to maintain it?
I'd say we probably came close.
Awesome.
Yeah, which it was a lot of hard work. Like the first couple of months, always tough and trying to find your feet, and just I think a lot of the unknowns probably come from the bit of owning a business as opposed to the recruitment side of it. Accounting and legal and websites and marketing and all of those other things that you kind of got to think about, where we've always had, that department does that and that department does that, and we don't even know who they are, but you send an email and something happens. Whereas you kind of have to do it all yourself, and that's probably the difference. But I guess from the recruitment perspective, we got to the end of the first year and I guess we were tired and pretty exhausted, but we were still comfortable with where we were. And I think it set a good platform for now, the next 12 months.
Nice.
What was the feeling of your first invoice getting paid into your bank account?
Oh, unreal. Someone told me, like, you have to go celebrate. Like, and I think it's when you start your new business, like, you got to people tell me you got to celebrate your first invoice being paid. You should celebrate your 100th invoice going out. Like, that's pretty cool. We had a party for 12 months in business, invited candidates and clients, just to say, hey, thanks for supporting us. This is great. We went out to dinner, and spent probably a little bit too much money. But, you got to celebrate these things because you only do it once.
Totally.
100%.
Right? And if you don't, you'll look back and kind of go, oh, I wish I did. So I think, and they're the things, because it's personal and professional, I like to just, to make your hair stand on end.
Totally. Do you have any advice for recruiters probably in a similar situation that you were in when you were at Page, around maybe how to organise their life, what to think about before starting their own thing, what to think about or what to plan for that was unexpected when you started your own thing? Like, is there any kind of advice for someone listening thinking, all right, I've been at my job for 10 years now. Maybe it's time for me. Should I do it? Should I not?
Yeah. I think it comes back to, a couple of things from like day to day. It's like why you? Like, yeah, and think back, and it's almost like you take, if people didn't know the brand that you work for, would they still use you? And I think that's, I'd say at the moment, people come to us, but I don't think they even know the name of our company. They probably can't even pronounce the name of our company. But it doesn't matter. We don't care.
Yeah. Let's come to Libby and Michael.
Yeah, and I thought back and I like looked at all those clients and I'm like, okay, well we've got a good. Like, I've recruited for all of these clients and they use me for me. So okay, I've satisfied that, and then it's kind of going, okay, well, also where do I want my career in the next 5 to 10 years? What's important to me? And kind of writing that down on a piece of paper. And I sat there going, well, I want work-life balance. I've now got a 2-year-old, got another one on the way. We're about to hopefully buy a new house. So it's kind of we've got all these life things going on at the moment. So we kind of go, we want that flexibility. And we want, to work. And I have flexibility at Page, but I guess probably greater flexibility where, hey, if I need to take a day off because we need to move house, I need to pack the house. Yeah, cool, no worries. So we wanted, once again, lifestyle business is probably not the right word, but a lot of flexibility and working with someone that understood that. But we also, I guess the financial return is probably, secondary to, I guess, those other drivers. But, at least kind of going, we're going to be there or thereabouts. And when we map that out of, okay, what are our billings and what realistically do we think we can achieve, that kind of hit the point as well. So I think it's almost,
clients?
Yeah, I go clients. What's
important to you long term?
Yeah, your career.
See, the thing is, not many recruiters think past like the next 12 months.
Yeah, let alone month to month, quarter to quarter.
I was speaking to a recruiter yesterday and he's like, mate, I'm 40. I've just had this realization that I'm just fucking thinking quarter to quarter. And I finally zoomed out recently and thought, what the fuck am I doing over the next 5-10 years? It's not going to be this. I need to level up somehow. I want to have a family. I want to provide for them. I want to be able to go see my mum in another country if I want to go see her and be able to still maybe do a few deals or all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting that that's one of your points because I think that's what a lot of recruiters lack is they're not thinking 5-10 years ahead. They're thinking, hopefully I do a big quarter next quarter.
Yeah, and that's it. It's 5 to 10 years. Like we sat there going, well, what would I be doing in 10 years' time? You go, well, I don't want that job. That job seems a bit too hectic and too stressful and probably not the right balance for me. So if it's not here, where is it and what does that look like? And that was it. We kind of sat there and go, okay, well, 10 years' time, we want flexibility. Yeah, if we want to go on a holiday and be on the other side of the world but still be able to recruit a job here or there, be able to do that. Like my mum still says to me, she's like, oh, your job's great. Like you can just do it from anywhere, can't you? I said, well, yeah, I can. And you're your own boss. Yeah, I am. It kind of blows her mind. She probably doesn't really exactly get what I do, but I think at the same time she's like, well, that's great. Like because a lot of them
Michael's living the dream.
Yeah. Sometimes like, do you still work? Oh, I do.
Mum's a fan. Yeah, nice.
No, that's really good. Well, mate, we really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, and walking us through your plans and what your experience was at Page and how you kind of went out on your own as well. So, mate, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing all that info.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Too easy.
Thanks for tuning in to another Confessions of a Recruiter podcast with Blake and Declan. We hope you enjoyed and got a lot of value and insights out of this episode. If you do have any questions or you would like to recommend someone to come on the Confessions podcast, we would love any introductions. And remember the rule of the podcast: like, share, and recommend it to a friend. Until next time.